Coming up on Loyola News Chicago, employees are still unhappy with their working conditions and benefits.
Plus, familiar faces found at Wrigley Field.
From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication, this is Loyola News Chicago.
Hello and welcome to Loyola News Chicago. I'm Robert Malkamaki.
And I'm Janae Gonzalez. We have a lot to cover, so let's get right into the news. With the pending Aramark strike, students are getting ready to support dining workers. Students gathered under the Loyola Red Line stop yesterday to create picket signs in support of Aramark workers. 97% of them voted to authorize a strike, and students are feeling the calling to back the union.
We know from petitioning and talking to people, the overwhelming majority of students are on the side of the workers, and the students are going to be there to support the workers like the workers that have supported us all year.
If they decide not to meet the demands of the workers, of course I'll be out here. All of us here care deeply about our university's mission, to be persons for one another. And I think it's important that, we are involved with initiatives just like this, which is all about social and economic justice.
I was there for the strike meetings. I was there to count the ballots. I'll be there when it comes to the actual striking itself.
The date of the strike has not been announced as of this broadcast, but we will bring you updates as they come.
In the wake of the Aramark workers' strike, Loyola's other unions have been receiving more attention. One is the Graduate Workers Union, whose own issues have been dragging on for several years. In spring 2019, graduate student workers at Loyola staged a protest. 3 years later, the university still does not recognize the union.
If it's promoting social justice, then it needs to walk the walk, right? Not simply just talk the talk.
Elstrand has been part of the union since 2016. He says there could be big implications for Loyola to fail to recognize the union.
The fact that Loyola is not recognizing us is technically illegal because it's a federal election. It was a National Labor Relations Board election. And so they are choosing not to bargain with us, right? Whereas they need to.
The National Labor Relations Board was created by an act signed by President Franklin Roosevelt in 1935. It guarantees private sector workers the rights to organize themselves into a union, engage in collective bargaining with their employer, and take collective action like strikes and petitions. Many of the 2019 protests happened up here on the Lakeshore campus. But here near Lewis Towers downtown, several students were actually arrested during those 2019 protests. The lack of progress and recognition from the university has led to issues for students like Abby Peterson. She's been working for Loyola on top of working a full-time job and tackling a graduate-level course load.
I guess I even worked for Loyola and I wasn't even aware that there's a student union and they weren't recognized. I hope that, everyone can get the representation and kind of the defense that they may need.
The Graduate Student Union is also part of the larger Loyola Worker Coalition. They've been backing the petition in support of dining workers and their negotiations with the university. The university did not respond to our request for comment. The only recognized graduate student union in Chicago is at UIC. They've been striking since Monday after they authorized a strike at the beginning of the month, according to the union's website. Loyola's Graduate Workers Union is building a coalition with other Chicago graduate unions to bargain for workers' rights. Governor J.B. Pritzker has announced masks are no longer required on public transit in Illinois. In Chicago, CTA and Metra ended their mask mandates. Rideshare services Uber and Lyft have also stopped requiring masks for drivers and riders. Most airlines have made mask wearing optional, and the TSA will not enforce mask wearing in airports. O'Hare and Midway airports have also dropped their mask requirement. But yesterday, the CDC asked the Biden administration to appeal the ruling.
With mask mandates rapidly changing, Ramblers are talking about what is happening. Reporter Chloe Johnson talks to students about the public transit mask updates.
Masks are no longer required on the CTA and Metra. Students have opposing opinions.
I'm personally comfortable with the new mandates. I've felt relatively comfortable now that I have the vaccine. and the majority of the city seems to be vaccinated. So personally, I feel pretty comfortable with it, but I certainly respect other people if they don't feel as comfortable.
Sick, it's just like an extra protection, and there's a lot of people just like coughing, and you never know if they're really like sanitary.
Yeah, screw the mask mandate. I don't care for it.
It's hard to know who's vaccinated on the train and who isn't, and like there's also like a lot of just like gross things that's happening on CTK. So like honestly, like I feel better about wearing a mask on the train, but I think like I also want to be like trusting of what the CDC says, because I think that's like I don't want to be hypocritical. So I don't know, I'm a little torn about it.
Whether they choose to wear a mask or don't, students have fewer places they're required to wear one. Chloe Johnson, Loyola, Chicago.
With graduation just 3 weeks away, people are planning for the big day. The question on many graduates' minds, do you have to wear a mask? The Office of the Provost says masks are not required at this year's commencement ceremonies, but people are strongly encouraged to wear masks while inside. The CDC advises people to wear masks based on their own personal risk.
Tomorrow is Earth Day. Since celebrating it started in the early 1970s, climate change has made a noticeable impact on Chicago weather. Longtime Chicagoans have been seeing spring temperatures rise 1.2 degrees since 1970. Spring weather has also gotten wetter, with 2.2 more inches of rain and snow since 1990. Overall, the average temperature for the entire year in Chicago has gone up 1.5 degrees.
I don't think that we're going to see a rapid increase in the arrival of warmer weather per se. It's just that the overall coldness of the winter seems to be waning, and that's having the impact on the overall spring.
As challenging as spring in Chicago can be, these ongoing changes are making our erratic spring weather even more unpredictable. After a cold, wet start to April, today's high of 69 degrees has been a breath of fresh air for Chicagoans. Reporter Amelia Ickes spoke with people on Michigan Avenue taking advantage of the warm weather.
The first day of spring was over a month ago, but it's finally starting to feel like spring here in Chicago. We caught up with some people hanging around the city to see how they feel about this warm weather.
It's been really cold, a little too cold. I thought it was gonna be cold today and raining, but the weather lied, so.
Oh my gosh, it's everything. The sun is out. I feel like people are just happier and wanting to be out, so I've been waiting for this. I love it.
It's a nice day. You can walk your dog. I mean, tomorrow is going to rain, but Saturday, they say, is going to equal to this day. It's typical Chicago weather.
Of course, people are excited about the warm weather here in Chicago, but it might be short-lived. If you look at next week's forecast, it looks as though highs are just going to be in the low 40s. Amelia Ickes, Loyola News, Chicago.
Today's wonderful weather already has Loyola students counting down the days until summer, which officially starts in 61 days. And with this weekend, I can't believe it's going to get into the 80s. It might only be one day, but that's still pretty good for this time.
And you'll still catch me at the beach on that day.
That sounds great.
Next, who's shining on the field on a rainy night at the Cubs game?
And coming up, how to spice up your phone's protective shell.
I had a really good time tonight.
Me too.
Give me your wallets and no one gets her.
Sir, we don't want any trouble, please.
Empty your pockets.
Wow. Those knitting lessons really paid off.
Last night was Loyola Senior Night at Wrigley Field, where students came to watch the Cubs take on the Rays. The graduating seniors were able to buy discounted tickets and pick up a free Loyola hat before the game. While the cold, rainy weather kept many at home, students who went saw a few of their own on the field. Loyola student Haley Quackenbush sang the national anthem, and 2 ceremonial first pitches were thrown by Lucas Williamson and the new women's basketball coach, Allison Guth. There will continue to be festivities for seniors in the upcoming weeks.
The Loyola men's volleyball season has officially come to an end. Their overall record stands at 18-9. The Ramblers took on the Purdue-Fort Wayne Mastodons in the semifinals of their conference tournament. Loyola looked confident and ready to fight for a spot in the championship during warm-ups, but the matches took place and the Ramblers fell to the Mastodons 3-0.
Guys did a really cool job of improving throughout the year. We trusted each other. We did all these things that you always hope to do, and then for this one to get the result, not the one you wanted, is funky.
This Loyola loss concludes the 2022 season, and this team is losing 3 seniors, Garrett Zolg, Andrew Lyons, and Henry Payne, who each played pivotal roles in the success they found this year. Along with making it to the conference semifinals, Loyola had 5 players earn all-conference accolades. Redshirt freshman Parker Van Buren was named Newcomer of the Year and made the All-MIVA first team. Garrett Zolg and Cole Schlothauer joined Van Buren on the first team, with Henry Payne and Andrew Lyons making All-MIVA second team. Another Loyola team is finding a fun way to involve their fans. As part of the upcoming alumni weekend, Loyola's softball team is hosting a home run derby. It will be on Saturday at noon at Loyola Softball Park at Devon and Hoyne. It's $1 per pitch, and the first 50 students to sign up get a free 3/4 sleeve shirt. All money raised will benefit the softball team.
Many people like to express their personality with their phone cases. Reporter Sam Ergang tells how an entrepreneur turned a hobby making them into a business.
Art connects people in more ways than one. From painting to producing music, artists create their own canvas, just like Alex Smyk.
I just wanted to find a way of how I could share my art with people. Everyone walks around with their phones all the time.
Alex created Penola, an art business that sells custom printed phone cases. Her business began in July of last year and has since grown a steady following. Starting the business had its bumps since Alex had to make the decision to quit painting and begin digital art.
What was your process like from transitioning from physically painting to then digitally pressing your designs?
It was a hard transition because I was completely new to it. I had to start digital drawing, which I never really done before.
However, the benefit to digital drawing is that she can produce her work at a more efficient rate.
Now with technology and everything, I think has moved to a more faster pace. Doing anything with your, hands and anything like that just takes a lot of time. And plus I can make a lot more in a shorter period. I wouldn't be able to recreate the same design if I was just going to be painting it.
The process of completing a phone case is lengthy, but the end results are unbelievable and worth the wait. Alex is unaware of her future career plans, and all she can do now is see where her business takes her.
Overall, I'm excited to see what's going to come in the future, and it would be cool to collaborate with other people.
To love a hobby is one thing, but learning how to independently navigate a full-time small business and make it a successful career deserves more than likes on a screen. For Loyola News, I'm Samantha Ergang.
After seeing those phone cases, I think my clear case just ran and cried.
I know, I just have a real basic, solid color one too, so I'll have to check that out and see what else she's got. Well, that is all the news we have for you today. Thank you for joining us.
Join us next week for our last Loyola News Chicago newscast of the semester.